This wasn't yet museum music in 1944. Much had happened since the Japanese attack on Hawaii had brought the U.S. into the global conflict just 2.5 years earlier. On June 1st, the Senate Judiciary Committee gave the Navy more time to court-martial 2 of Pearl Harbor's commanders, while a U.S. congressman introduced a bill to draft unmarried, unemployed women younger than 35. So many men had been drafted that San Francisco was recruiting women traffic cops on June 1st, a day the U.S. Army counted 3,657,000 troops overseas. Major Sterling Claiborne was an Atlanta doctor treating patients at a field hospital in Algeria. In his journal that day, he wrote that it's difficult not to have fanciful or hopeful thoughts of the end of the conflict, but the pessimists are winning the money right now. One submarine crew north of Japan was in a much happier mood on June 1st. Tokyo acknowledged what USS Barb's skipper Gene Fluckey already knew, and it was party time.
My cook celebrated by baking a cake, and they would put a model of a ship on it breaking in half, or the way it was sinking, the sinking that we had done the previous day.
On June 1st, 1944, the Dow Jones Industrial Average was at 142.25. Across the bridge in Brooklyn, hundreds of people needed medical help when a truck accident sent chlorine gas through the air vents of a subway station. Gasoline was cheap during the war years, but with rationing, not always easy to get. A Warner Brothers cartoon in theaters June 1st used humor as a weapon against both the cause and effects of the war. On other screens,
the Gestapo does not entirely trust you, gentlemen of the Garde-Mobile. You are Frenchmen.
This fictional look at German-occupied France featured Errol Flynn as a criminal with a conscience.
What is your name?
Jean Picard.
There, you see, wrong from the start. Don't you suppose the Germans know that name too?
On June 1st, the real French partisans were listening to London for secret radio messages, while the real Germans were training and waiting for an attack.
We knew where to go in the case of, but we didn't know what will happen. Yeah?
And to make sure they didn't know, Allied commanders in England locked the invasion force away from the general public.
We were all kind of in prison, so to speak, and there was a great deal of security because by that time we were briefing all of the enlisted men about the landing.
Secret orders for the landing craft called June 1st L-Day. A New York Times editorial called it the beginning of the season that must bring a climax to what it called this greatest of all human conflicts, the great invasion of the European continent from the West. Almost everybody knew it would happen, but on June 1st, 1944, only a few knew where and when. Mark Leff, CNN, reporting.